This could be one of the most important messages that has happened in the history of religion, of spirituality, of truth. You want to know why? Because we've been handed down so many lies, so many times over the centuries, and it's intentional, and we will prove it in this video. We're going to be talking about the real New Testament. We're going to get into the background of how did we get all of these current English translations that we have today, and are they something that can be relied on? And what we're going to find out is that we've been misled over and over and over again. But here is the great news. Yahuwah said he's going to pour out his spirit in these last days. He said that he's going to increase knowledge. And what's happened with this knowledge being increased, all the lies, all the distortions, all the darkness that has suppressed the truth for all these centuries is being torn down right before our eyes. And to promote the truth, what we decided to do is say, let's go ahead and take responsibility. Can we, in fact, love Yahuwah with all of our mind, with all of our strength, right? With all of our might, with all of our soul? Can we really love him that way? If we do, he's calling us to go seek him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and all of our strength. And he says, if we do that, if we seek him with all we've got, then he will be found. And so as we go back and we look at history, we can see over and over again where the children of Yahuwah, of Israel, son named Israel, they were handed over time and time again to the enemies. Why? Because of their disobedience. And so what's happened because of this rampant disobedience, Yahuwah has allowed the distortions to happen with all these different translations of scriptures. So what we're going to do right here today, we're going to absolutely reveal these truths to you. And a lot of these ways you probably never stop and thought. But if you really stop and think about what you're about to be shown, I believe you're going to have no other choice but to go, I've got to do something about it. And that requires your support, because we are on the front lines here to promote the truth. We've decided to stop translating the translation of the translation of the translations, grabbing all of these distorted texts, and we decided to launch the Truth Scripture Project, to where we can just take the words in its most original form that can be found. That's either original scriptures or the earliest found scriptures. We have to have a basis of belief. We believe that basis should be scripture, but it should be accurate scriptures that can be relied on. So if you go back and you study the idioms, that means the ways of life of those times when the scriptures were written, then you'll have a great understanding of how they need to be expressed, i.e. translated. So let's go in right now. Here we go. So we start with the Truth Scriptures update. That's really the focus of this entire video, is to show you how we progress in some major decisions we made. A blockbuster announcement is coming in this video that we made to get down to the real New Testament. There's a call. As a matter of fact, there's a cry out for a real translation. People are betting and staking and believing their entire eternal lives based on the words that are coming out of scripture. But what scripture? So you got to really go ahead and you got to stop taking for it granted when someone hands you a book that you read, where did it come from? Now, the big question is, the Greek New Testament, is it a hoax? We believe that the great Greek New Testament hoax is here, it's alive, it's prevalent. All of these versions that you are seeing today in English translations, almost every one of them comes straight from the Greek New Testament writings that was handed down. Now, if you look at the King James, New King James, NIV, Living, Amplified, American Standard, on and on and on and on and on. There's a ton of them. And every one of those have come from the Greek translations, which we'll go into in a second and prove to you where they came from and prove to you that this is a hoax. It's crazy. So we're going to break it down. And that's why we want to really look at and ask some questions today. Was the New Testament originally written in Greek? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Because if you go talk to all the scholars, the theologians, these seminaries, there's so many colleges and seminaries that are teaching fervently that the original New Testament was derived from Greek. Now, I'm telling you, and we believe that's a lie. And now that knowledge is being poured out, that's going to be proven. So we say no. And it's easy to prove. No, it's not originally derived from Greek. No, we're putting a stamp on that. We want you to really understand how important that is and how important that you back this project ASAP, because we got to stop the nonsense.